If you have ever uttered the phrase before, I'm never going to move again, first of all, I can totally relate. Anybody watching who's gone through a move knows the headaches and sometimes the heartaches it can bring, especially if you're looking to downsize because you're having to perhaps part ways with some favorite pieces that you've had over the years. So Robin Blankenship is back on the show with us. She has Next Chapter Transitions. Good to see you.
Thanks, you too.
And I mean, while it's true you can't fit a 4,000 square foot house into an 1,800 square foot new place, you don't necessarily have to lose everything if you plan the right way.
That's right. I think the process is so important, and every client within the process of all the things you have to consider, it may not go in the same order. You may not have to do certain parts of things just depending on your situation, but if you go through it and you coordinate, a move manager with your realtor, with the community you're looking to move into, or a builder, all those things, if everyone's working together, it makes such a difference in just making something that could be very stressful much easier and much smoother.
So at Next Chapter Transitions, you see people for all different reasons. I mean, you'll stage people's homes. Some people will use you to almost make a lateral move, square footage to square footage. You kind of wanted to focus, though, this morning on downsizing. Yeah. Right, and you've recently gone through some new certifications that really elevate you to a whole nother level.
Yeah, we are actually, Next Chapter is the only company in the Chattanooga and North Georgia area that can really say they are senior move managers. We are members of the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. So that's a trademarked title. And through that, over the last several years, I'm in my 5th year in this business. After I downsized my own parents, I saw a need for this. And I had there's a certification called the SMM-C, it's the SIM-C, and it's basically a certified senior move manager. And it not only really goes into a lot of information and knowledge in all kinds of different areas that are involved in this process, but you also have to have a lot of documentation of your experience. So many different projects, and you've done so much different breadth and depth in those areas.
Okay.
And so it's taken a while, and it's wonderful. Just actually found out about it last week that it was confirmed.
Congratulations.
So it just gives you another level of professionalism, accountability, and, being a member gives ethics, integrity, all those things that are important.
Well, and you are holding on to people's most prized possessions too. So you kind of shared with us a process, if you will, because even though each client coming in has their own individual wishes and needs, there is kind of a way to approach each one. Is that right?
There is, and I think, I mentioned the floor planning. It's something some people may say, oh, I'll help you downsize. There are organizers out there. There's people who pack and unpack or even manage getting movers and that kind of thing. But if you don't go through and look at the space you're going into, especially if you're going to a senior community, those spaces, you may be going to a house you've lived in for, I think the longest was 67 years. Into a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment that could be under 1,000 square feet. And in that small space, everyone in my company has had training in interior design for small spaces. It's different than design for large spaces. And if we can do it that way, where you're moving, to be able to do the floor planning to the inch and the furniture to the inch and go through with a client and let them prioritize of I have to have this no matter what, I really want this, or if it fits, great. And we go through, and that helps them make those decisions. And we basically don't just look down like you're doing a floor plan. We will sit down in an editing session with a client and let them try all the scenarios, because it is spatially very hard to imagine things that sit in your normal sized house,
of course,
how they're going to look or feel in a small space. So we can do, I kind of laugh, it's sort of the fixer-upper. Joanna Gaines gets in it. It's 3D, so it's like you're standing in the room and you look around, and even though maybe something technically fits, the scale of it is just too much in that particular space. And we let them try all different options. Well, if you keep this, then you might move that. Or you can have these things but not that, and it lets them make decisions. And it's also not just what will fit, but if you have a sofa table and a chest of drawers, you're thinking of storage. So you've got to make those choices, and once those are made, you can look at everything else. All those other decisions are easier because you think, where is it going to go? And
Right.
that helps you make those decisions.
I interviewed recently, and his name is escaping me now, but he was here to do something with Goodwill. He hosts a show called
Matt Paxton.
Yes,
Yes,
called
I know
Legacy
Matt.
List. Yes, and his whole thing is that you don't really need all the things that you think you need. What you really want to hold on to are the stories behind them.
Right.
So, do you ever find with your older clients when they are doing the downsizing, is it comforting for them to kind of give some things away to their children and grandchildren?
It is, and the other thing I think that's difficult, we work a lot, it's not usually just the client, especially with seniors, it's sometimes you're interacting to some degree with the family members. And so when I talk about training, it's not just on how to deal with seniors and dementia and cognitive issues or other illnesses and how to do, it's how to deal with family dynamics. And so we'll work with them, and kids are just, it's not that they don't care. They may not live here, they are busy, they have jobs and children and families. And so they don't have the patience to go through this with someone and let them tell the story about it. And part of letting go is to kind of say, your dad and I got this on this trip, and my husband and I love to go here. One of our clients one time, a great story was, she was talking about something, she said, one of the best memories I ever have was I was with my late husband, and we were in the Palace of Versailles in France, and we danced in the Grand Ballroom. And she was suffering with all kinds of health issues, and it's like it's just amazing to hear. Some of the stories we've heard are amazing, and so it lets them tell their stories. And then also, if they ask their children, they have things they think their children might want, and then they ask them, you'd be surprised what kind of things the kids may want and what they don't want.
Right. I have to kind of wrap it up, unfortunately, but she's so fun to talk to, and the things to take away are, one, she and the full staff have this interior decorating and design background. They love what they do, and it is in part design, and it is largely hand-holding and psychology and
just
counseling.
managing what is a big emotional project to make sure it's done, and we keep the client's health and well-being at the forefront through everything.
And if you've ever had a good project manager, you know the value of that. So Next Chapter Transitions, 423-615-9500, online, nextchaptertransitions.com. Really and truly, we focused this morning on downsizing, but anything involving a move or focusing on how you organize things, they can help you.
Yes.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Julie.